Let's talk about anti-player technology. That's a name I give to any mechanic in a video game that is, whether purposely or accidentally, designed to hinder/annoy a player in a way that provides no real upside. Famous examples of anti-player technology include gratuitously fragile weapon durability, like in The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, the way stored-up combat energy depletes itself right before the next enemy encounter in Kena, Bridge of Spirits, or fast travel requiring the purchase of fast travel packs for no reason back in Horizon Zero Dawn. It can be unnecessary barriers to convenience, it can be overly punishing negative effects, or anything to where you look at it as a mechanic and say, things would be exclusively better if this shit was not in the game. Now, before this gets stretched to just mean anything you don't like, in order for something to be anti-player technology, it also has to either seemingly be at odds with the spirit of the game, or something that slows progress or ruins enjoyment, or takes something away from you without a good reason. This shouldn't be extrapolated out to be like, oh, well, there being enemies in a game slows down my progress, so therefore enemies are anti-player technology, full stop. Because enemies provide challenge, and challenge is a positive experience in a game as long as it's not bullshit. Challenge helps keep things from becoming boring, and it's a catalyst for player growth. Enemies are at their best when they are providing teachable moments for the player, and fun, satisfying obstacles for the player to overcome. Anti-player technology would be if there was an enemy in the game who showed up frequently, and was invincible for the first 30 seconds of your encounter with it, purely to slow down your gameplay and progression to a grinding halt, so you had to sit there and wait for it to stop being invincible so you could kill it over and over again. In that case, the invincibility is the anti-player technology because it gives you an overwhelmingly negative experience that plainly didn't need to be there and offers nothing good in return. The reason I bring this up is because I've run into several examples of anti-player technology in the open beta of Palia, which I played on the channel recently. Palia is a free-to-play MMO life sim grindfest, which to me has elements of RuneScape and Animal Crossing. You have a bunch of skills that level up as you use them, like cooking, gardening, hunting, etc., in a RuneScape kind of way, and then you have a village of characters you can interact with and buy stuff from and form relationships and whatnot, plus a housing plot you can develop and expand, like Animal Crossing, or maybe closer to Disney Dreamlight Valley. It's got a big map with characters spread out all over the place, plus a second area attached to the first with a similar size, and the quests involve tons of running several football field length distances back and forth, talking to this character, then that character, then going back to your house to craft something, then going back out to talk to another character, and so on. So you can imagine my shock and utter disdain upon finding out that fast travel costs money in this game. Not real-world money, that would be even more beyond the pale, but the in-game money you're trying to build your economy with so you can be a functional member of society and upgrade all your stuff and buy nice things for your house. This is a game where ideally you'd be fast traveling every 30 seconds, because once you get to a spot, you're usually just there to talk to someone and maybe give them something. It's not an absurd amount of money, but it's enough to add up. There's also a return home button on your map that teleports you right to your house for free, but you can only use this once every 30 minutes of real time. Like a kinky female gorilla, that's fucking bananas. Time gating and or price gating fast travel should be considered a sin, one of the 7 deadly sins of gaming. Maybe one day I'll work out what the other 6 are, but for now that's one of them. Fast travel exists because it's convenient. Once open world games started becoming a thing, we needed a way to expediently get across the larger and larger maps without our brains turning to paste in the process, so we let people travel places instantly. It was a decision made to enhance the player's convenience, and you could rationalize it for your character either by giving them some kind of technology, or just telling yourself they're still traveling there normally and you're just skipping it for yourself because you have shit to do later and you don't want 90% of your playtime spent galloping on a horse. Fast travel is a common good that we as gamers have been collectively issued a license for. If fast travel is in your game, I as a gamer and consumer am owed unlimited free access to it, barring any narrative circumstances that rescind it at certain times for plot purposes. It would be like if a game let you jump, but then it was like, oh, for every jump you have to pay 50 gold. Nobody would indulge that. Imagine a Crash Bandicoot game where you can only spin once every 5 minutes because they put a cooldown on it because go fuck yourself for playing our game. I need to fast travel constantly in Palia, or else run 500 meters like a roided track star back and forth, and somebody please cut off my legs. Restricting my fast travel for no discernible reason other than artificially lengthening playtime so I can't do stuff as fast is anti-player technology, and in this case, it's even more sinister than that, because the reason seemingly serves the developer's own interests at the expense of the players, and that's worse than just pissing us off for no benefit. But if you think that's unfair of me to say, this isn't the only thing Palia does that serves the game more than the player. Palia also time gates basically everything. If you want to chop wood for 15 hours or grind your other skills, you can go nuts. But if you want to craft things, or complete quests, or build relationships with the villagers, be prepared to just sit there, or log off and wait overnight for all the stuff you should have had immediate access to be done. You know that loom you crafted to make fabric out of cotton? It takes 8 real-time minutes to make 1 piece of fabric. Want to smelt a copper ingot because this thing you need to craft wants 5 of them? 3 full minutes per ingot. These are things you do in Minecraft in seconds. Want to turn one of your harvested crops back into a few extra seeds? 25 minutes. I don't know if this game is for time wizards or chronic masturbators, because there is so much forced downtime, and I don't always want to go grind in the meantime. So how does this serve the game? Well, if it takes longer to do shit, people play longer. MMOs live and die by their player count. If people finish stuff too early, they have nothing to do and they fall off the game. It's in Palia's best interest to put enough roadblocks in the way that people can't binge their way into retirement. But if you have too many roadblocks, people will stop thinking it's even worth getting past them, and Palia's time-getting nonsense is definitely more on the egregious side. I've played for 7 hours now, and I'm still friendship level 1 with the character I've been trying to romance since the beginning. I've gotten basically nowhere with her. The game says she's still using me to cure her boredom, but if things don't get more streamlined, I'm eventually going to be like, screw it, this isn't even worth going for. She won't have me around to cure her boredom because this game won't be doing enough to cure mine. I say this as a person who wants games to be good. That's generally where criticism and complaints should be coming from, is the noble aim of bringing video games up to a higher standard. There are people who want certain games to be bad and stay bad, and those people are miserable pricks, like anybody who actively participates in the console wars like you're some brave soldier fighting for what would end up being a net negative result to the gaming industry. We want PlayStation to flop. We want Xbox to release nothing but garbage and go bankrupt. We want Nintendo's next console to be the Wii U again. Let me paint you a utopia. In a perfect world, every game releases on every system. Every PlayStation game releases on Switch, every Nintendo game releases on PC. What would happen? Well, for one, it would force Nintendo to up their console game, because everyone would otherwise be playing their games on better systems. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet on PC with good textures and a smooth 60 FPS, who could resist? There would be a smattering of Switch havers who like the handheld functionality and would only play games that weren't too handicapped by being on there, but I do think the drop in sales would be steep enough that it would motivate them to do better, because as it stands, they can release stuff that runs like dog shit and still get millions of copies sold simply because it's the only place you can play it. Nobody is punishing them for poor quality, and if the game is still fun, the fans will excuse absolutely anything. If Tears of the Kingdom crashed every 10 minutes like clockwork, the fans would just save around it, adapt, defend the game against anyone who complained about it, and still vote it for Game of the Year. But every game releasing on every system doesn't solve the console war, because people will still debate specs, price point, units sold, which CEO they like more. There is literally nothing that can be done about the god-awful, bot-ridden, disingenuous, take-plagued discourse unless there is only one available console. So the utopia can't really exist, and only having one console would mean no need for competition, so the quality would stagnate, and the console would probably be subpar, although the games would be immaculate, because with everyone on the same console, games would be in much fiercer competition with each other, having more of the general player base up for grabs. But let me go back to talking more about why I fucking hate console wars. But Albino, you spent the majority of that last paragraph shitting on the Switch. Doesn't that mean you are also a soldier on the battlefield of gaming? That implies I'm rooting for the Switch to fail. Or, since it's already well into its lifespan and a success, rooting for Nintendo's next console to fail. I don't want any console to fail. I want the next Switch to be way better and blow people's minds and be the best that it can possibly be. I want the next PlayStation to be the best it can possibly be. And I want the next Xbox to have a reason for existing alongside PCs, aka be the best it can possibly be. I don't have a side that I root for while I pray for the other side's downfall. I just have choices I made as a consumer based on what's currently available. I have a PS5 because I like console gaming and they have good exclusives and barely any loading times. I have a decently good PC because I like Steam and the ability to play smaller indies that don't get console releases until later, if ever, as well as mod support and the best performance of big budget titles provided they actually work at launch. I have a Switch because Nintendo's first-party IPs could protect the company from a nuclear nuclear blast and there's nowhere else to play them. I don't even care about handheld functionality. I play docked 100% of the time. I only have this thing for like 3 games a year. And I don't have an Xbox because I already have an Xbox that starts with P and ends with C. I've got Game Pass and everything. I use a Series X controller at least. That must count for something. But let me go back to talking more about why I fucking hate console wars, for real this time. It's just so petty and toddlerific to root for a huge upcoming game's demise just because it would help the other console look better. The amount of Twitter accounts who have seemingly dedicated their lives to this antagonistic bubble of a retardation is staggering. Right now the hot debate is Starfield versus Spider-Man 2, Xbox's big exclusive versus Sony's. Which game will be better? Weirdly comparing 2 games that in the best case scenario will both be amazing for completely different reasons. And if you don't think both games being amazing is the best case scenario for gaming, I'm gonna have to ask you to ask someone else to push you off a cliff, you disgusting parasite. Starfield fans deserve a Starfield that knocks their socks off, and Spider-Man 2 fans deserve a Spider-Man 2 that kicks absolute ass. I am both fans, so I have even more of a vested interest in these games being bangers, but again, everyone should hope for all games to be good. It's one thing to expect a game to be bad, based on what you've seen, or worry that something will be bad, but you should always hope it's good, even if you have no interest in it one way or the other, for the people who do. Also, being a miserable cynic isn't a good long-term strategy for mental health or the love of your family and friends. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can like, share, and subscribe. Watch all my other videos and hope they don't suck, and I'll see you guys next time.